Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Welcome, everyone, to the Masterful Morning Show. We have a wonderful treat today. We are going to talk to Stacy Claxton and actually try out a really awesome modality for so many things. She's going to explain it all, and I'm just so glad that she has made time to join us today. Thank you for being here, Stacy.
You're welcome, Marian. Excited to be here.
So just a little background of why Stacy's here. She is my transformation coach. She has helped me the last, I guess, 4 or 5 months go through incredible transformations. I have become incredibly more vulnerable. I have made huge shifts in my mindset and limiting beliefs, in my health and in my money mindset. And I have done that, I would say, completely because Stacy has worked with me, and I've found a safe space where I'm able to work through that kind of stuff. I used to be the kind of person that used to stuff all my emotions because that would not be appropriate to share. That would not be professional. That would not be something that my friends would want to deal with. And so that stuffing has definitely limited me in my life. And finally taking responsibility for that and becoming more vulnerable and asking for help like I have, I've made huge shifts, and I think my partners would agree, and my friends who are watching this. So I'm so excited. This episode is very near and dear to my heart to get to introduce you guys to Stacy. So Stacy, could you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you do and who you help?
Sure. And thanks for that introduction, Marian. It's been such a privilege to work with you and see that transformation in such a short time. And so as Marian said, I'm a transformational coach and integrative health practitioner who essentially helps stuck people find freedom and flow. And these are growth seekers, people who are desiring change in their life. There are also heart-centered healers, people who work in a healing profession already, or embodied leaders stepping into any area of leadership, whether it's entrepreneurship or some area of leadership in their life. And I help them through their biggest blocks. And as Marian, as you mentioned, that can be in physical health and wellness. It can be nutritional, mental, emotional. It can be financial, professional, whatever the block may be. And I help them through those blocks to discover that boundless inner power that we all have, that inner resourcefulness, the resilience, the insight, the wisdom that's really inside every single one of us. But I have that missing piece. And Marian, you've experienced this, that many mindset coaches and trainers neglect, which is those body-centered tools that really rewire the nervous system for lasting change. Because until we get into the nervous system and reprogram the body on a somatic level, those limiting beliefs may stay. That self-sabotaging behavior may not go anywhere. Those blocks just get bigger. And that's really where the transformation happens. And it's my delight to lead people in that way. I work with private clients, but I also work with groups. And I know all of you, since you created this group here, recognize that something really powerful, something transformative happens, something a little magical even when we do this kind of work in community. So it was a long journey to get from where I started to this point in my healing practice and my transformational coaching, but I wouldn't trade it for anything. It's incredible work that I get to see every day.
Yeah. And Stacy, could you say a little bit about what you use in your practice in terms of the modalities that you've chosen as a coach?
Yes. Well, I have quite a vast toolkit. I started exploring healing, thinking that I was going to go purely into physical wellness, diet and lifestyle, master nutrition and diet and supplementation, help people with sleep and lifestyle. And so I have a lot of tools in that area, but I recognize that often that's not enough. And so I draw on those tools as needed for guidance and recommendations. But I started noticing that even though those kind of tools got people results, knowing more how to fulfill their nutritional needs and to supplement and do lab testing and investigate all this balance from the inside out, there was something that was holding them back from deeper healing and the real transformation and the real growth that they were looking for. And that's where I started leaning on more tools that are somatic based, mind, body, emotionally driven, energetic tools that clue people into something that's a little bit deeper. And it took me too long to get there to realize that we often stay stuck or sick or self-sabotaging or really just stressed in our life because of this emotional pain that's trapped in the nervous system. And this is true for all of us. It's true for those with chronic health conditions, as well as those who just aren't making the massive impact in their life, who aren't manifesting what they want. And that's where actually dropping from the mind, from mindset, from the headquarters down into the body and into what's suppressed in the body becomes incredibly crucial. And those are the kind of tools that I do, ones that help people tune into themselves, to ask that inner voice, what's coming up, what's inside, what's in the blind spots, because it's our body that holds on to trauma. And we don't necessarily need to talk about trauma and how that gets stored in the body, but essentially the tools I use are body-based ones like emotional freedom techniques or tapping that drop you into this somatic place where you can let your body release stored trauma, where it can calm down, access safety, and then release what's no longer serving you.
Yeah, I think Melanie talks about this all the time, how important feeling and emotion is when you're manifesting. And it's not always all in your head. You have to really embody it.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
And I would
awesome.
second that Marian and Melanie as well, that often it's not simply a matter of identifying the block or the memory or the trauma or even thinking your way into a new visualization as you're manifesting. If there's something there that's stuck, it's not a mindset issue because it was often implanted into the body, imprinted into your cellular memory before you had conscious words to express it. A lot of these memories are either pre-verbal or from a young age when our brain isn't fully formed. And so we have to bring our bodies, our hearts, our guts, our emotions, our muscle memory, and not just our brains, not only into the manifesting, but before that, into dismantling some of these blocks and moving through some of those sequestered emotions that keep us trapped.
Yeah, it's great to have you on the show, Stacey, because I know when it's Friday, because Marian talks about she's about to have a session with you. So it's great to finally see you in person. So for someone like me, I hear things like EFT and tapping, and my humour side comes out, and I think I'm just waiting to see someone who's impatient about their internet banking. So for someone like me, how would you describe EFT and tapping?
Excellent. Well, I'd love to give a quick introduction for those for whom this is completely brand new. And EFT, also called emotional freedom techniques, doesn't have a lot to do with banking, although you can apply it to your bank statement and other financial concerns. But it's really a very simple, practical, effective, versatile way to bring your fingertips to your body and access stored emotions, subconscious memories, blocks, things that are holding you back, to press into your emotions and to fully feel. What it's actually doing as you take your fingertips to specific points in the body, and I'll get into that in a moment, the actual how-to of EFT, is you're telling the body, it's safe now. And that's really key to the practice, because fundamentally, trauma or being stuck or self-sabotage is an issue of not feeling safe, not feeling connected in our body. And when we don't feel safe and connected in our body or an environment, that triggers the stress response. It causes us to disconnect. And when we're stressed and disconnected, we're not in a resourceful place. We can't access our creativity, our inspiration, our joy, our manifestation powers. We can't press into who we want to be and how we want to show up. So essentially, EFT is this technique that tells the body it's safe in the face of any stressor. And so what we do is, as we tell our body it's safe by tapping on these points, We bring up stressors, uncomfortable emotions and sensations and feelings and memories. But at the same time, we're calming down the brain and the nervous system so that we can make connections, so that our subconscious gets permission to release what's been stored there and what's been repressed. And in this way, we release the body's long-held truths. And these are truths that often aren't serving us. And suddenly, as we tell the body it's safe and bring up these long-held truths and these stressors, they no longer have the same power over us. And that's when we become free to rewrite our present and our future, to step into more empowerment and not simply perpetuate the same patterns and beliefs that we have in the past. And that's when the powerful shifts happen. That's when connections are restored, healing is possible, freedom is found. That's when we really step into our mastery as manifesting, creative, inspired human beings, and it becomes habit. And that's really, Taylor's, why it's called EFT, Emotional Freedom Techniques, because we're stepping into our freedom. We are liberating the emotional root cause of our suffering and self-sabotage, our stress, so that the body can return to this natural state of safety and connection and healing and creativity and joy. And so literally it's this hands-on way, because we're going to be using our fingertips to tap on the body, to drop into this meditative place where we can tune our spirit then to that infinitely wise inner guide. And EFT does that really quickly, and we're going to get a taste of that, but that's part of it too. As you say, what is EFT? It's really quick. It's really effective. We're taking our fingertips and tapping on these points that correspond to the end points of energy meridians. And like I said, then we bring up stressors and emotions and uncomfortable feelings and sensations. Or we pose questions to our subconscious. So you don't need to be stressed out or suffering or feeling like you're in a deeply emotional place in order to tap. You might simply have a question for yourself and start tapping, asking yourself, not necessarily expecting an answer, but you might be surprised something comes up quickly. And that's why I also love using this tool, because it's so versatile and it shows healing potential power in myriad different areas of our lives.
That's really fascinating, Stacy. I'm a big believer, and I teach often as far as movement and the body and how the body connects to, our mind, and we have to keep everything moving. So I'm very fascinated with the connection with the body and the mind, and through meditation and just bringing everything together. One question that I do have, I'm very limited knowledge with EFT, but also for someone watching, what are typically like people that come to you? What do they come to you for? How do they initially contact you? And what are some of the benefits that they get that either they were wanting or maybe surprise benefits that they get out of EFT?
Mm-hmm. Yes, a fantastic question, because just about everyone, or I would qualify it and say everyone, can benefit from EFT regardless of what condition or what presentation or where you feel stuck in your life. So some people who come to me specifically because I do have a health background, and EFT is great to use in conjunction with your health journey, whether you have chronic pain, a diagnosis, whether you have challenging symptoms that you can't figure out and you're frustrated and you don't know what to do with it. You feel like you're at the end of the rope. And so for me, being a health practitioner, a lot of the people I saw initially were in that chronic health and wellness area, and they weren't getting results. They weren't getting answers. And EFT is powerful in those kind of conditions. But also I see a lot more emotional issues as well. People who come with anxiety and depression, those are rampant in our space these days, and EFT is powerful for any sort of mental health or emotional issue, whether you're moving through fear or grief or loss in your life. I see a lot of that as well, but it can be used in conjunction with any area that you feel stuck. And I see this, and often someone might come to me for a very specific concern. They're dealing with something in their life, and we quickly start pulling back layers and realize there are other things under the surface. And so there might be kind of compulsive behaviors or addictions, and even healthy addictions. And EFT is really valuable in working through that. The self-talk, limiting beliefs. It's also good for family conditioning, family paradigms, and intergenerational patterns. And I see that a lot in my work as well. We start to identify how this is a learned and conditioned behavior or belief, not just necessarily from parents, but going back generations, and we start to undo cycles that have been quite long-standing. And that's where I've really seen it in powerful and healing trauma, whether it's personal trauma or collective trauma. And I see more of that, people coming to me for trauma healing lately. And it really shifts the entire perspective when you can tune in a safe way to trauma that felt so deep and so impossible, so daunting before. And then that's where some of the positive, the real affirming and refreshing type changes come, building more resilience and more confidence. People start showing up as the people that they knew they were capable of, or maybe they never knew they were capable of, and they're just blown away by the changes that others are acknowledging in them. And so it's great for interpersonal dynamics, relationships, stepping into greater power in business, profession. I do work with entrepreneurs and other people in the health and wellness space, and I see them showing up much better in their business. Marion can attest to that. Showing up differently in relation to finances and developing confidence in really all areas of life. And that's where it's powerful to precipitate any kind of behavior change, any kind of manifestation, any kind of creativity and inspiration, more joy, more balance, and more sense of purpose in your world. And that's really where it's exciting to see the results with each and every person, as well as with the group.
Yeah, and I will jump in and say a little bit about my introductory experience. I was kind of a reluctant client in a way. I made the choice to work with Stacy because I knew I was going to get the results, but man, it was uncomfortable. It was so uncomfortable because it was an experience that I had never done before. I never dealt with my emotions. And so having to go through this, for the first couple of weeks, I think I started every session with, I don't even want to be here, but let's just get this over with. And I'm so glad that I got through that like really rough beginning so that I could get to the point where like, I'm excited. I know it's not going to always be easy and comfortable, but it's so worth it to transform into a new and better version of myself. And so I find, working with Stacy and doing EFT as a key component to the emotional aspect of my personal development. And I highly recommend it to everybody, and I highly recommend Stacy to everyone. And I am so excited because Stacy actually prepared a little bit of a tasting for us. And for any of you who are watching the replay or listening on the podcast, you can check the show notes, and it will have the links to everything that Stacy is going to talk about. She prepared a little reference sheet for us, and there's other links for how you can connect with Stacy. But I'm going to go ahead and just pass the mic over to Stacy so she can take us through a little bit of an EFT experience.
Perfect, Marion. Yes, and speaking to Talos too, for those of you who have never tapped before, I'm going to run through the sequence so you don't need to have any frame of reference. But as Marion did mention, there's a reference sheet. She put the link there. If you are at your computer now and simply want to go there, there's immediate access to a downloadable handout with the tapping points. So if you like visuals and you want to tap along with a visual aid, you're welcome to go check that out now. But don't worry if you don't have access to it. I'm going to walk us through it. So wherever you are, come into a comfortable seat. It's nice to feel grounded in your chair with the feet flat on the ground as well, if possible. And we're going to pick one hand. I like to encourage one-handed tapping. Some people like to use both hands. Again, there are lots of variations of EFT out there. The sequence that I'm going to teach today is very simple, easy to learn, and very effective. So this is the one I use in my practice. So pick one hand, doesn't matter which one, and we're going to take 3 or 4 fingers and we're going to tap on each point. The sequence of points is always the same. So once you learn this sequence, it happens by rote in the background, and then you can bring up the other sensations and emotions that deepen the process. As Marion said, you don't need to believe in it for it to work. You can be a skeptic. And so if you're thinking it's just looking funny, feel free to just dive in and try it out. It's a very forgiving process. It's as much an art as it is a science, and it's very fluid. So let's dive in and learn the points. Wherever you are, take one hand to the top of the head, tapping there at that topmost point. And if you want to follow along with me because you're new to this, keep your eyes open and we're going to move to the inside of the eyebrow. This point is just to the right or left of the bridge of the nose and tapping on that eye bone. If you are comfortable with the practice, you're welcome to drop into your body, close your eyes and notice what's coming up for you. Take some deep breaths as you tap and move the fingertips to the side of the eye. This point is just adjacent to the temple. So you're tracing the eye bone there. Again, another nice deep breath under the eye. This point here is pretty close to the eye because you're tracing that eye bone. And then under the nose, just above the upper lip, and tapping there, noticing how you're feeling, especially if this process is new to you. What is it like to bring your fingertips to the body? Simply get curious, noticing how the tapping feels. Deep breath, chin crease right beneath that lower lip. Taking some deep breaths. And again, if you're comfortable with this practice, close your eyes, drop into your body, notice what's coming up for you. Each point corresponds to the end point of a different energy meridian. And so you might notice a different emotion, different experience come with each point. Deep breath, collarbone point. This point here is just to the right or left of midline. One finger is on the collarbone and then a couple fingers in that space beneath it. You're welcome to stay on the same side or cross over the body, whatever feels more natural to you. Deep breath, noticing what this point feels like. And then under the arm, this point here is about a hand width under the armpit, tapping on the side of the body. It's about 4 inches or so. Again, you can stay on the same side if that feels more comfortable, or you can cross over. I tend to cross over, but either is just fine. Deep breath, side of the hand. This point is on that fleshy part of the hand just next to the pinky. Okay, and we're moving back up to the top of the head. I'd invite you as we practice one more time to close your eyes here and listen to my voice as I cue the points. Deep breath inside of the eyebrow. Noticing any sensations in your body. Side of the eye. Under the eye. Deep breath under the nose, dropping into your body, noticing what's coming up for you. Chin crease. Collarbone point. Side of the body under the arm. Side of the hand. And top of the head. Keep your eyes closed here, but pause tapping with a nice deep breath. You can release your hands down to your lap. Just tune into your body, acknowledging what's coming up for you right now. How you feel. Now we're going to take it a little deeper. We're not going to get into some major work today. We're just going to pick something small and commonplace that I suspect everyone can resonate with. So with your eyes closed, think of something that you need to do or create or make happen, something, perhaps a simple task that you just need to carry out, or something small you want to manifest, but you haven't been looking forward to it. You keep putting it off. You keep trying to ignore it. Try to forget about it, or you just can't cross it off your to-do list. Notice what starts to happen in your body. Maybe it's something you're ignoring, and when I said that word ignore, something popped into your head or gripped your gut, and yes, that thing, the thing you've been pretending not to see or avoiding. Listen, what is that thing for you? Something you've been putting off, avoiding, neglecting. And then name it. Name it aloud in your own space. Drop into that thing, something you're putting off, something that you can't bring yourself to do, something that's so frustrating or just, has that icky feeling every time you think about it. Name it. And throughout tapping, I encourage you to speak aloud into your own space. Something transformative happens when we express audibly what we've kept inside. So say it again, this issue, this thing, this task, what you need to create, what you're hoping to manifest but keep putting off, this area where you feel stuck, some area where you just can't muster that energy, and what starts to happen in your body. Notice it. Be with any physical sensations. Where are they? What do they feel like? What qualities do they have? What color or texture or temperature do these sensations have? What shape do they take? Are they moving? Are they dense? How uncomfortable are they? What emotions are wrapped up with them? Notice that. Notice the discomfort in your body, the emotional intensity that might be starting to rise, and even invite yourself to dial that up. And then on a scale from 0 to 10, 10 being most intense, rate the intensity right now. This thing that you don't want to do, how uncomfortable is it for you? And as you sit with that uncomfortable sensation and feeling and emotion and energy running through your body, we're going to take a nice deep breath together, keeping your eyes closed and simply starting to tap. Bring those fingertips to the top of the head, feeling all this uncomfortable emotion, sensation, whatever feels true in your body, feeling it fully inside of the eyebrow. Tapping and experiencing without words, just letting the body express fully how uncomfortable this is. Deep breath, side of the eye. Noticing the sensations that are present and starting to bring some words into your space if this feels right. Speaking aloud, all this, and say what it is you're feeling most acutely right now. Deep breath under the eye. All this intense, uncomfortable emotion of this feeling, whatever it is. Speak aloud into your own space. Deep breath under the nose. All this, what in my body? What is it that comes up for you when you think about this task you have to do, this thing you can never complete, the thing you have to create that you can't muster the energy for? Think about it, feel it. Deep breath, chin crease, this overwhelming feeling of, let it be big, dial up the intensity. Deep breath, collarbone point, acknowledge where you feel it in your body, any physical sensations. Bring in the qualities. Tap on the collarbone point here for a few moments and bring in the qualities. What is it like, this uncomfortable feeling, sensation in your body? Deep breath under the arm, continuing to feel and name whatever's coming up for you. Side of the hand, this feels so uncomfortable in my body. Acknowledge the discomfort, whatever unpleasant emotion, whatever tension you feel, whatever pain or numbness or paralysis, immobility. You can't get this done. It's so frustrating. Anger at yourself, someone else, whatever it is. Deep breath, top of the head. I'm open to accepting this. Speak that over yourself. Notice what comes up. I'm open to accepting exactly who I am and where I am right now. Deep breath inside of the eyebrow. I honor this feeling, all this uncomfortable emotion and sensation. Even if you don't want to, what is it like to speak those words, honoring how you're feeling right now? Honor the frustration, the immobility, the confusion, whatever it is that's blocking you from making this action. Deep breath, side of the eye. It makes sense that I feel this way. Speak that aloud. It makes sense that I feel this way. What comes up with that? Deep breath under the eye, acknowledging It makes sense that I feel this way, and I give myself permission to feel this way. Notice if anything's coming up for you, any reason why you might feel this way, why it makes sense. And give yourself permission to feel it. Tap here a few moments with full permission to feel however you feel. Deep breath under the nose. I give myself permission to never, ever, 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 ever do this thing I don't want to do, or never take this action, or never create that thing or complete that task. I give myself permission to feel this resistance forever and never, ever take the action. This might be a new one for you. If you've been beating yourself up for the way that you've been procrastinating or spinning your wheels, maybe you've been fighting it for so long, and giving yourself permission, maybe it feels refreshing. Maybe you feel resistance. Deep breath, chin crease. I give myself permission to never, ever, ever do this thing or take this action. I don't want to. I don't want to. If that's your truth, speak it aloud. And again, see how that feels. Maybe it's refreshing and you want to declare it. Maybe you want to yell it. I'm not going to do this. I don't have to do this. I don't want to. Maybe you notice some resistance, like you should be an adult and you should do this thing. And you feel yourself telling all these shoulds. Acknowledge any resistance. Speak your truth right now. Deep breath, collarbone point. I am never, ever going to do this thing. I don't have to. I give myself permission to stay stuck here forever. Notice how that feels. Give yourself permission to be wherever you are. Let it be big and bold if you want. And if you've tuned into a memory or a childlike voice, let that come out. If you've identified a part of you that just wants to dig your heels in and forget about this whole thing, creating that, manifesting this, doing that, allow that voice to speak. Deep breath under the arm. I deeply and completely accept myself as I am. Repeat that aloud. Honor yourself wherever you are, whatever you're feeling, whether you're resisting, whatever you're saying, whatever age you're speaking at, whatever voice is coming out. I deeply and completely love and accept myself exactly as I am. Side of the hand, even if I never get this done, I never complete that thing, I never do that task, I never create that big thing I want to. Even if I never get it done. Deep breath, top of the head. I completely love and accept myself, and I give my body permission to relax now. Take a deep breath into that. Pause tapping here for a moment, releasing the hands to the lap. Keep the eyes closed. And notice what's coming up for you, what that process was like. Check in with your body. Tune in. If you're tapping later, you might pause here and continue moving through the tapping points, acknowledging whatever sensations or emotions are true in your body, whatever you feel about this task, this thing, how big it is. Express, honor whatever you're feeling, accept it, move through it. If there's an emotional release, that's fine. Make space for it, welcome it. Maybe you find some deeper layer. Maybe the feelings intensify and you identify some sort of memory or a childhood experience. Flow with it, explore whatever comes up for you, and just keep tapping. Tapping allows it to be safe in your body. It's this fluid process. It works whether you know what you're doing or whether or not you believe in it. So again, if something's coming up right now, continue to work through it. But in the interest of time and for the short demonstration, I'm going to shift us into a round of affirmative tapping to see where you might take it after this. So come back into your body, take a nice deep breath and notice if maybe even something started to shift already. And I'm going to give us some examples here of what you might say, what you might experience, and notice how you might feel now. With a nice deep breath, bringing the hands back up to the top of the head. I'm noticing a shift. Acknowledge that aloud. It feels good to express this. It feels good to give my body permission to take no action. Continuing to move through the points at your own pace. But perhaps I'm ready to take action. Speaking that aloud, maybe you feel ready to take some action. Notice what that feels like. You feel ready to take some action. Moving from the under eye point, under the nose. Maybe this task isn't as big as I thought it was. Notice if that feels true. Deep breath, chin crease. Maybe it might even be fun. That's a new thought. Notice how that feels in your body. What if this task you've been putting off might actually be fun? Deep breath, collarbone point. Maybe it might even be easy. Ooh, you said easy. Is that legal? Can you say that? This might actually be easy. Notice if that feels like a new thought and what comes up in your body. Tapping under the arm. Wow, maybe this really could be fun. And ooh, what if it could be easy? And actually, maybe I really want to do it. And maybe you say, I can't even imagine that I just said that. I've been putting this off. It's felt awful forever. And I think I might actually really want to do it. Notice what's coming up for you. Tap into that. Deep breath, side of the hand. I give myself permission to take action. And in fact, I think I want to. Maybe I want to. If you're noticing resistance, perhaps you throw in, but I don't have to. I give myself permission to not take action or to take action. Whatever feels good, I have a choice. Deep breath, top of the head. It's safe in my body to take this action if I want to. And I'm ready to. I'm ready to take action. And so now as you continue to tap, moving through the points at your own pace, notice if something shifted in you and maybe you have a new insight about this task or a new relationship to it. Maybe you're ready to replace whatever you've been feeling about it or telling yourself with a new truth. Maybe you feel called to make a change or invite some action into your life. And so as you tap, I'm going to invite you to bring that imagination in and start to feel yourself living that change. Here you are doing that task, taking that action, creating that thing, stepping up. Imagine yourself taking that action, making that decision. How does it feel in your body? Notice with all your senses, sight and sound and smell and taste and feeling. What is this new reality like? And maybe even smile into that reality. Oh, you're doing this thing and it's not so bad and it might actually be fun and easy. Ooh, that's a new thought. And wow, this feels good in my body. And as you tap, I'm going to invite you to speak whatever feels true to you right now. It might be a truth about yourself. It might be a feeling. It might be a new insight. It might be how you approach this situation or the action you want to take. And I'm going to speak some examples, but feel free to speak your truth aloud into your own space. So tap and maybe you say, I feel lighter. I feel free and inspired. I feel energized. I feel refreshed. I feel excited. I feel accomplished. Wait, I am accomplished. I'm getting this done. I feel like I'm on top of the world. I'm crossing things off my to-do list. I'm creative and I'm creating things. I'm taking action. And it's fun. It's easy. It's enjoyable. It's life-giving. It's empowering. It's liberating. Taking action. And again, feel yourself taking that action, what it's like. I'm taking action. I'm going to tap 3 more times here. I'm taking action, and it feels so good in my body. Speak it aloud. Feel it. Notice it. Experience it. It feels so good in my body. I'm taking this action, and it feels so good in my body. Let's pause here with a nice deep breath. Again, check in. Notice how you're feeling. Any sensations that are arising now. Any emotions, thoughts, insights. What shifted? And maybe you go back to that intensity rating on a scale from 0 to 10. How do you feel now compared to the discomfort you felt earlier? Again, if you're tapping along to the recording, you might hit pause and keep tapping if you want to continue to work through something that's come up for you. If you want to continue grounding in, anchoring in the affirmation and change that you want to see in your life. But for now, take a nice deep breath and acknowledge yourself with gratitude for the work that you're doing, that you have the courage to drop into this deep inner work, and acknowledge yourself. And then Marion, Melanie, and Talos, I'd love to hear from you and what that experience was like.
Well, I enjoyed it, but I'm a fan favorite. I'm curious about Talos and Melanie as well.
Yeah, it's interesting. When you're talking about stuff, I was going through things about what to pick, and then as soon as something came up in my mind, my whole body just shifted to the right, and I was like, "Oh, I guess that's something then."
Mm-hmm.
So
And I
that's
love
pretty
that
wild.
it was, and that kind of thing happens all the time. Suddenly the body memory starts to release or move or express or somehow have a cathartic release in some way. And the fact that you were attuned to your body enough to recognize that is enough to indicate a powerful shift.
Yeah, for me, it was just kind of the same thing, like what to think about. And then when it's like, okay, yeah, it's there. But then I felt a very strong, like feeling response. But then there's a lot of resistance with it. It's like, no, I don't want to, I don't want to, I don't want to. So that was, it was very aware as far as the resistance. So.
Melanie, I love that you brought up the resistance, because that comes up all the time. And I encourage listeners, those of you who are facing resistance isn't something necessarily to just get over, get through so you can get on with the rest of the tapping or the rest of the manifesting. The resistance itself is such a vital part of the process. And so if you're in that space of resistance, I'd encourage you to pause and tap on it and just acknowledge it. I am feeling so resistant right now, and I'm going to dig in my heels and stay stuck here. I'm going to resist. I don't want to feel this, or I don't want to express it. I don't want to do that. I don't want to tap. I don't want to, whatever it is, be in the resistance and fully feel that. Often you'll identify a voice, something perhaps from your past, a memory of why you want to resist. There's a part of you that really wants to resist, and give that full expression, because simply trying to tamp it down usually is not an effective strategy.
Well, it's funny because when you were walking us through that part, and I was really relating to it, like, yeah, I don't want to do this. I don't want to. And it felt like a little kid giving like a temper tantrum.
Yes. And have that temper tantrum. And for those listening, if it felt like a child, often it does, give yourself permission to speak like a child, act like a child, move, scream, yell, flail your arms and legs like you're having a temper tantrum. Because on the other side of that, as you tap and have your temper tantrum, you'll probably have new clarity as well as a deep emotional release.
One of my favorite parts about the process, and it came up in this round as well, is how silly some of my self-talk is. You know, why was that a task that I couldn't do? And all of my reasons for it. And then we work through it. And then I just realized how silly that was. And yet, how long have I had that task on my to-do list or something? Like, how long have I held that resistance? It could have been just a couple months, or it could have been my whole life. But how silly all of the stories that we tell ourselves, and such a huge part of manifesting is about our thought life and what we're saying to ourselves and our self-talk. And so actually literally saying the things that we're thinking out loud and then hearing ourselves say it and realize that's so dumb. Why did I just say that? That's not true at all. And then making that shift is just, it's just huge. And now you guys know I come back to Stacy every week.
You raised some really important points there, Marian. One being what I expressed earlier about vocalizing, saying these truths aloud as you tap, because when you do that, you hear them in a different way. If you just hear it subconsciously replaying in your mind or stuck in your body, you don't have the opportunity to listen to it with your adult ears and hear what you're actually speaking over yourself and into yourself all the time. So expressing aloud is beautiful. And then Marian too, often humor comes in. And that's often how I know that a client is experiencing a powerful shift. Suddenly they'll start laughing or realizing, wow, what have I been saying to myself or believing? And instead of having the resistance, they'll now start to chalk up evidence that what they had been saying is no longer true. And the beautiful thing about being in a safe space when you're doing that is it's not an opportunity to berate yourself or punish yourself for how long you've been stuck in this pattern. It's an opportunity to release and laugh and enjoy. Wow, I see it differently now. I can give myself some grace. I can laugh on it, and then I can move on.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Stacy, for not only giving us this experience, but our audience. And so, of course, I want them to be able to connect with you and get the same kind of results that I've been getting. So how can we work with you?
Excellent question. There are a few ways to do that. One I mentioned at the beginning, because all of you are involved in creating this group, which is a testament to the power of working community. And like I said, tapping is really effective as well when you do that in community. And I'm still amazed at the results I get after years of doing this, working in groups. And that's why I created an online group tapping program, my own community called Freedom and Flow. We come together every week to tap through our fears and stressors in real time. And I can't overstate the importance of working through these emotions, these fears, these blocks, these limiting beliefs and uncomfortable sensations and expressions in real time, because that's how they don't get lodged as trauma. That's how we don't get stuck and sick and continue in these cycles of self-sabotage. When we work through these things in real time, harnessing the power of the collective, amazing, incredible things happen. So I would encourage any listener who feels so called to test this out in a safe, supportive group setting, to check out Freedom and Flow. And Marian said she has the links posted. You can access that at soulsandsynergy.com. Check it out. We practice freedom and flow consistently so that we can become the fully embodied, fully vulnerable, emotionally healthy beings that we're designed to be. And that's the space from which we create the life, the business, the work, the passion that we want. That's how we show up as the fully embodied leaders, as entrepreneurs, as manifestors, as healers, as growth seekers who are designed to step into their potential. So check out Freedom and Flow. You can find me in that group program. It's my delight to facilitate, but also I work one-on-one with private clients, especially if you feel like you're stuck in some area of your life and you need more customized support. feel free to reach out to me directly and see if we can develop a therapeutic partnership. This might be the opportunity, the healing opportunity, the door into the next version, the next step that you need to take, the next version of you. And so reach out, Stacy@soulsandsynergy.com. If there's some underlying trauma, I would also encourage you to reach out for one-on-one work that can be processed in a group. But at the same time, if there's something bigger that you're working on and you know it's there, it's really helpful to work on that with a practitioner before you bring it out into a larger setting.
Yeah, that's wonderful. One of my favorite parts of the Freedom and Flow group is that it is a international group, just like Masterful Manifestors, in that there's people from all over the world. And I joined right when COVID had hit, and just having that space for all of us to share that, what was happening and that feeling is just so wonderful, because it's kind of like why Masterful Manifestors also was born at that time, because we needed to connect with one another and find a goal that's bigger than ourselves. So thank you so much, Stacy. Again, all of the links that Stacy has talked about are in the show notes. We encourage you to grab that reference sheet so you could try it on your own, tap into her group. It's absolutely fantastic. And of course, you can work one-on-one. I have been doing that for several months and will continue to do so because it is super valuable to my experience. And that's everything. So thank you all so much. And thank you, Stacy, for giving us this wonderful gift tonight and this morning.
And thank you, Marian, Delos, Melanie, for giving me the opportunity to share. Such a privilege to be here with you.
Thank you so much.